And welcome back to Janky AF and Year of the Aerostar, episode number 57. Just as many varieties as Heinz so far, and we'll be surpassing them very shortly here on Year of the Aerostar. So Janky do Thanky. All right, so we've been talking about we just had that wonderful 94 Aerostar that was a twin to the 87 Aerostar. We're very excited. Some very cool, unique Aerostars that I have to document before they get sold. Today, something sort of completely different on the other end of the spectrum in terms of the specifications, but very similar in terms of the preservation and uniqueness and low mileage. So very, very excited to show you here, and I guess we'll just get right into it. Here we have a 1997 Ford Aerostar XL, listed for $4,900 in Richmond, Virginia. And as we know, I tried to buy an Aerostar in Richmond, Virginia one time. So now that he's allowed himself to be a public figure, Mr. Friel, I will ask again if if you're interested in buying this an Aerostar and then maybe selling it back to me someday. If you need a van to haul stuff with, get in touch and maybe we can work something out. All right, about this vehicle. First and foremost, just look at it. Brilliant, and we'll get into the looks. But the big, ticket item here, driven 39,000 miles, under 40,000 miles on a 1997 vehicle. Absolutely fantastic automatic transmission, exterior white, interior white. I don't think that's quite correct, but neither here nor there. Fuel type gasoline. 2 owners, just a 2-owner vehicle. Last one was a 1-owner. This is a cargo Aerostar, and quite frankly, a cargo Aerostar with only two owners is just as impressive as a passenger Aerostar with 1 owner. Seller's description: selling our beloved crime van. C and V in crime van, both capitalized, even though it's only one word. Interesting. It's, here we go. It's an 97 Aerostar with, yes, only 39K miles. Now here's what's funny. There's 2 funny things in here grammatically. Just a couple episodes ago, I talked about how someone said a when they should have said and, not should have, but when people would usually write and, they wrote a. Make a offer instead of make an offer. Here, the exact opposite has been done. And so instead of saying it's a 97, it's a 97, they've written it's an 97. It's a 97. Also, and I'm very guilty of doing this myself, however, it's very fun to me, there's an apostrophe which is supposed to take the place of 1997. So it's like the apostrophe indicates that it's implied that there's the year 1900 in front of the last 2 digits, 1997. However, the apostrophe is after the 97, so it's an 97, and then you almost expect an S to be after the 97. It's a 97's Aerostar. It's the year 1997's Ford Aerostar. That's who owns it, the year 1997, and it's in their possession. I digress. A little just fun with language there. With yes, only 39K miles. Now this is like a true 39. And I talked about in the last video, I said, 83,000 miles is low, but there still are even low mileage Aerostars still out there. And indeed it's true. And here's a proof. Ready for hauling all sorts of goods or starting your very own crime syndicate. Now very, very, interesting, I guess, leaning into sort of the cargo van stealing TVs and VCRs sort of trope. Fair enough. This getaway spec, lightweight, quote-unquote, truck, basically a rear-wheel drive Ford Ranger, is a hoot to drive. Very descriptive language. Now there are some differences in the sort of suspension and frame of the Ranger and the Aerostar. There are some similarities and parts differences too. I used to even say myself, I would say, oh, the Aerostar, it's like a spaceship frame on a spaceship body on a Ford Ranger. Not quite the same. The Aerostar's chassis, which I believe is VN1, is a dedicated, unique unibody chassis that was exclusive to the Aerostar, which is very, very interesting. A lot of sort of development and engineering went into the Aerostar, which is why I think they advertised it so much and so highly and gave it this, really highfalutin sort of image, is because they put a lot into it, and they wanted to, recoup their investment, which I have to believe they did, selling over 2 million Aerostars over the course of 12 years. So there you have it. All new fluids within the last 300 miles. Tires have less than 300 miles. Purchased with dream of wrapping it for promotional use, which never happened. Normal wear and tear for a 25-year-old van. Sold as is. Okay, so for, with only 40,000 miles, they just did all the fluids, and they did the tires. So now, even though it's only 40,000 miles, it's still a 25-year-old vehicle. You're going to want to look at your plugs and wires, and, maybe there's a little bit of updating that can be done on this car, but you have to believe with such low mileage and being one of the latest Aerostar, it's going to should be fairly reliable straight out the door. And again, for under $5,000, where else can you find like a reliable low mileage car, 40,000 mile car that's in running condition for under $5,000? The Aerostars are, forget the classic market, forget the, the hipster Radwood. These things are like these 80s looking spaceships. Just as a car, which is the funny thing about the Aerostar, because that's what it always was, as a vehicle, as a means of transporting you and transporting a large amount of goods. If you can bide your time and find one that is like fairly low mileage and in fairly good condition, even just as a used car, it's still a very good deal, which is crazy, because it's like that was the Aerostar's mission from the beginning, and 25 years on, 30 years on, it's like still doing that successfully, which when you think about all the technology that's come and gone since then, it's still just like a very good, bargain as a vehicle. So, mission accomplished, Ford. Okay. I love the look of the white cargo Aerostar. I like particularly that it's a 97. I have wanted to buy an Aerostar from every year. That's sort of my dream, is to have 86 through 97. I think 97, a cargo van, would actually be really cool to buy a 97 as, because you do have these taillights in 97, obviously, that are the amber was taken out of. It's just red and white, and I think that little extra bit of simplicity works with the simplicity of the cargo van. So I think a 97 cargo van is actually a perfect candidate to represent 1997. I like that, and I have to believe it was somewhat rare too, because, by 97, we saw that one from Florida. A lot of them were like, extended passenger vans, and it was just sort of, Ford was going through the motions a little bit. They knew it was supposed to be ended after 94 or after 95, and then 96, 97, it soldiered on. The famous story alongside the Windstar, because there was so much demand for it. And then eventually government regulations like forced Ford's hand, and it was going to be too expensive to rehash all of the interior again on a vehicle that they had developed, almost 20 years ago at that point, because it was even a few years of development before 1986 when they came out. And so, that the Aerostar ceased production. But I wonder how many cargo versions were being made in 97. Now, maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe it was fairly high, because maybe at that point, the Windstar had come out. People that were buying like passenger minivans, maybe they still they were happy with the Windstar. And maybe the cargo van version was actually more popular, because you still have these fleets and people like that, and they wanted like the sort of bulkiness and utility of the Aerostar over like a passenger Windstar, which I don't believe there was a cargo version of. So perhaps the cargo version was more popular in 97. Either way, though, I think it's a great representative for the year. If you were going to buy, you know, one Aerostar for every year, I think 97 would be good to represent the cargo version. Okay, so obviously, as we've talked about, on the cargo doors, I love the barn doors, absolutely obsessed with the barn doors. I think they look great. I think they're so practical. And I just kind of like that this singular van, the Aerostar, had like a liftgate or barn doors. It's just, if you have a liftgate, it's cool to see barn doors. If you have barn doors, it's cool to see a liftgate. I like the variety. I like how many different interpretations and variations there were on this thing. So in your bumper here with this like door hinge down here, you can see was even a little different. It has this little sort of kink cut out of it, and it's a unique bumper to the passenger van bumper. So that's kind of interesting. It's, you know, makes it a little bit harder to find if you had a cargo version bumper. These would probably be really quite rare. And in my business idea to start manufacturing Ford Aerostar bumpers, it's a good excuse for me because it's like, well, now I need to buy, at the very minimum, I need to buy an extended passenger, an extended cargo, an extended or a regular length passenger, which I already have two of, and a regular length, standard length cargo. So, you know, that would be my excuse as research and development purposes, but this one's bumpers are in immaculate condition, so it would be the perfect candidate. Boy, I don't know, there's something about that shot, you know, with the windows all whited out and the standard length, there's just something about this angle of the Aerostar that's just so like pure, you know, it's just like the essence of the shape. It's no nonsense. I even really kind of like these sort of late Aerostar slicer hubcaps. Just bare bones, gray bumpers, gray grille, you know, nothing fancy, just all purpose. And here's another great shot. But what a good looking van. I mean, what a good looking 3/4 profile there. It's awesome. It's just, I don't know, I'm obsessed with it. I think it's such good design. Just everything works with itself. Everything is integrated. Everything is cohesive and coherent, and you have continuity. And looks like actually some of the panel gaps are a little weird here, like on the door and stuff like that. Some of the lines are a little bit glitchy. Whatever. Yeah, this will probably be the thumbnail cover. A shout out to the lister too for making such beautiful photos of this vehicle. You can tell they really do like this vehicle. And I think here is a little bit of maybe your headlight bezel is a little off alignment with your panel. I don't know if it's like a dent situation or just needs to get structured a little bit. See, we do have a little bit of rust coming around here on the side and some other denting, you know, being it's still a cargo version. Presumably this was used for some sort of business, but overall, pretty darn clean. Okay, we can read this here. Auto wall, maybe? Auto mall. I'm just dying to get my hands on one of these cargo Aerostars. I again, like, now it's becoming like a thing that, okay, here we go. It looks like the bezel's cracked, and that's why it's like sort of splitting. So that part would be easy enough to replace. But yeah, I just want to have one with barn doors. You know, I have my 2015 Toyota Prius V now, which is an excellent work vehicle. And the thing that has over the Aerostar is that gets 40 miles to the gallon. And this thing's probably going to get, you know, 20 if you're lucky. So in that regard, it's hard to compete. However, I would love to have a little Aerostar as sort of an auxiliary work vehicle or just a haul-in vehicle. And keep in mind, this probably could tow quite a bit of weight. So if you ever needed to tow something, it'd be good for that too. You know, so you know, in real time, I'm working up the excuses and justifications in my head to try to buy this thing. Okay, your gray interior. I love the vinyl seats. I'm such a big fan of the vinyl seats. As much as I'm a fan of the two-tone cloth seats, there's something about a vinyl seat that I really just like too. It just has that 80s, 90s feeling, whether it's in like an old Chevrolet Caprice or a taxi or cop car or, you know, some sort of industrial van. It's funny that vinyl was sort of the choice because I feel like vinyl at one point was like sort of a low-key luxury option. Like if you didn't put leather in there, you put vinyl in there. And then vinyl became more of like the the contractor thing, you know, like the more upscale version would have nice cloth seats. And I guess the reasoning is vinyl just like, you know, holds up better to spills and oils and stuff like that. It doesn't stain as easily. So then vinyl kind of became the choice for cargo vans. I have the same issue on my 93 where the spring is starting to expose and the foam's peeling. No big deal. You can get that sewn up, put a nice little patch over it if you want to. Looks like the door card, I can't tell if it's just the sunshine or if it's had like a different color armrest bar there. Crank windows, of course. You got to have crank windows in your cargo version Aerostar. It's just all analog and unique. Wow, 39,144. So you could still drive this a bit and not be at 40,000. So impressive, so cool. Another great shot of the, really appreciate these photographs of the vehicle. Nice and clear and crisp, and the lighting's good, and you get a good sense of like being in the vehicle. Great vinyl seats. These cup holders are darn near useless to actually hold something when you make a turn, but you know, I like that they're there. Very shallow. Here's the back, okay? So we can see the Aerostar totally ripped out. Looks like a totally different vehicle, doesn't it, than the last video we watched? But I like that it's, you know, sort of the guts of it. You see what's behind all that plastic cladding and whatnot, and you see your wheel wells again. You have more than a 4-foot span here. Now, if you wanted to put plywood in, you probably couldn't fit a whole sheet in the back of the standard length as opposed to the extended length. But with the barn doors, you just open the barn doors up a little bit, and then you got your you already got your sides there, and then just run your plywood out, and then, you know, strap it down, fix it down there, and no big deal. Just, you know, kind of cool to see the Aerostar in its like just metal simplicity in the back there, and I mean, just look at how much space that is, even for a van that's like very compact and easy to maneuver and easy to drive. You know, it's funny, on Wikipedia they say that the Ford Transit was sort of the spiritual successor to the Ford Aerostar, not like the Windstar or the Freestar, and I think that's pretty accurate. And I had a 2012 Ford Transit Connect, and it was impressive, and it was a great little car, and I really, really liked that car. But, you know, for all the time that had gone by, you know, that was a 2012, it didn't seem like it really eclipsed the Aerostar in terms of, you know, any capability, or, you know, the mileage wasn't that much better. Maybe it was a little bit more reliable, but I don't know. You hear pretty good things about this, you know, 3-liter engine. So looks like you got a nice interstate battery in there. You know, I really just think the Aerostar was just such a well-conceived and well-executed concept of what, you know, an all-purpose practical vehicle could be. You see the unibody frame there, quite good condition, a little bit of surface rust here and there, and it looks like maybe you do have a little bit of something going on in the differential there. But you know, you can get that looked at, maybe get it changed and, you know, sealed up or whatever. Pretty cool shot of the underneath there, and you see just how much, like, you know, pretty good ground clearance. Now this is interesting. It looks like it has white wall tires on it, but they put the white walls on the inside. I can't imagine why they would do that, because this thing would look so good with white wall tires on the outside of it. So shame on whoever did that. I don't know if the owner even knows that they have white wall tires waiting in disguise here. I think you pop those, you flip those around, put your white walls on your outside, then you realize that's the pièce de résistance. Then this thing is like complete. So boy, just a great looking van, and obviously a time capsule, under 40,000 miles. Use it if you want. You know, again, you know, for $4,900, if you get this thing up to 60,000 miles, is it really going to depreciate at all? You know, it's still an insanely low mileage for the year, and I think, you know, Ford where they are, or the Aerostar where it is, it's not like it's not like a Ferrari where the value is going to like drop if you go from like a magic number to a less magic number. It's still going to be a very low mileage. You know, maybe for the sake of it, it's cool to just buy this and hold on to it, because then in 20 years, the fact that it's under 40,000 miles is just that much cooler and that much more special. But you could also, you know, if you just use this thing once in a while to move stuff or haul stuff, or you got to tow something, chances are in 10 years, you're still going to put on less than 10,000 miles on it. So it's still going to be, you know, just a great, you know, still be well under 50,000 miles. And boy, just a special van. I really want to buy this Aerostar, and I'm not able to right now, unless I do some, you know, extend myself or have some creditors that want to give me very unique terms. But that's okay. At least we've documented it here on Year of the Aerostar, and I hope someone does go out and buy it. So there you have it. 2 back-to-back, just I think really special Aerostars, and they are unique in their own way, and they're very different in some ways and very similar in some ways. So I thought that was a good sort of little week of Aerostar content there. So there you have it. Thank you so much for watching as we talk about this beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, handsome, dashing.
The handsome, dashing Ford Aerostar
1997 Ford Aerostar XL in Richmond, Virginia. Okay, that's it for the show today. I'm calling it a show. It's kind of fun instead of saying this at the episode, but just call it the show. The show today. Year of the Aerostar here on Janky AF. Thank you so much for watching. If you like our content and you have not, please smash, gently, delicately, pummel, with tender, loving care, demolish that subscribe button, because it helps us in the algorithm. We're marching towards 500 subscribers, trying to get halfway to monetization. And the numbers don't matter. It doesn't matter. But you know, I guess to the algorithm, you know, if you love the Ford Aerostar and want to see more people sort of fall under the spell, the egalitarian spell of the Ford Aerostar and be transfixed by it, like you and I have, then I don't know. Whatever. Janky do thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one. And Janky do thank you.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.